up to the 30, the 20, 10, 5, Torrey Horton back to the end zone.
48-yard play. Guess who? Body up the middle, making another move to the outside. 15, 10, end zone again.
Keeps it. Nice move by Brown. He's got space. He's got 6. 35-yard touchdown for Byron Brown. A record-setting night for the South Florida quarterback.
Down so far, a little bit of a high snap. Genty right up the middle. Genty has room. Ashton Genty, give him 6.
Second and long. Lagar tries to fit it in. Rose, it does. Rose stays up. The Suns offense 4-3 wheels. Incredible effort for Rose.
The G5 Hive. All G5, all the time.
Welcome to the G5 Hive Live. We are excited to bring you the G5 college football coverage you love each and every week. I am Luke. Always get my fingers mixed up. I am joined by my co-host, Justice. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. And if you're like Eric Froton, who got here early, actually right on time, we just started a little bit late, thanks to me. Make sure you go out and you comment. We'll try to get to everybody's comments as the show goes on. If you have something, please ask. We'll get it out there. And if you're watching us on X, please give us a follow, a like, a retweet. If you're listening to us in podcast form, please rate and review. Justin and I have some big news. We talked about it a little bit last week, but it is a pinned tweet on our X. Justice, do you want to talk a little bit about this before we kind of get into the nuts and bolts?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, our merch store is now available live. I will put the link in the comments. I literally just got the word probably 5 minutes ago from the provider that it's available. So yeah, if you want to support us, the best ways to support the work that we do here is number one, go to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and number two, visit the merch store, get yourself some sweet gear. We got shirts, long sleeve, short sleeve, performance shirts, fleeces, hoodies, all the above. So yeah, visit the merch store. The link is in the video comments on YouTube. It's also pinned to our Twitter page, X page, whatever you want to call it. It's a twin. It's pinned to the top there, so you can find the link there. So yeah, super excited about that.
All right, let's get into the Week 8 games in review. Let's start off with our midweek matchups that we had last week. We had Troy at South Alabama.
Not a good game.
Yeah.
I mean, Troy, no Goose Crowder. They're just a different team when Goose Crowder is available. Hopefully, he's available here soon. But yeah, it was not much of a game. South Alabama. I mean, I guess my big takeaway from the game was I wasn't super impressed with South Alabama's performance. I thought they should have had a better performance against Troy, because especially with no Goose Crowder, they're just not. Troy is not a very good team, but South Alabama didn't. I don't know. I mean, you look at the final score, and I think they won pretty convincingly. But watching the game, I did not walk away super impressed with South Alabama.
All right, and then we had Kennesaw State at Middle Tennessee State. I don't know. It was a rock fight.
That game was like, oh my god!
It was.
It was some of the worst college football I've ever seen.
I gotta watch like three minutes of it, so I can't talk too much about it. But it was.
No, I watched. Yeah, these midweek games, I watched at least a half of every single game, and that Kennesaw State versus Middle Tennessee game, that was just ugly. Kennesaw State is bad, and Middle Tennessee is only slightly better. Yeah, I mean that was an ugly game. Neither team looks very good at all. I knew Middle Tennessee hadn't been playing very well, But watching that game just kind of shed some light on how bad they are this year. Yeah, it was an ugly game. I don't know that either one of them is going to win a game here on out. So, yeah, Kennesaw State's offense is just it's really really bad, and Middle Tennessee isn't that much better. They have a couple playmakers in Vadiato, Holden Willis, and Amari Kelly that helps them out. But yeah, rough game.
All right, and then Louisiana Tech at New Mexico State. We kind of highlighted some players here for New Mexico State. They get the 33-30 double overtime win. Evan Bullock, 233 yards passing. Seth McGowan, 66 yards. And then for Louisiana Tech, True Edwards, 110 yards receiving, foreshadowing into later into the waiver wire pickups. But
I went to bed too early. I saw Louisiana Tech get a touchdown. I don't know, but there wasn't much time left in the fourth quarter. It was already midnight, and I was like, I'm going to bed. I figured the game was over, and then I wake up and see that it went to double overtime, and New Mexico State won. Yeah, I mean, they decided to start lighting up the scoreboard in the last 5 minutes or so of that game. Evan Bullock looked like a freshman. I thought. I believe he was a redshirt freshman, but he looked inexperienced. There was time. He was very streaky. Like the first quarter was really bad, second quarter really good, third quarter really bad, fourth quarter really good. But yeah, New Mexico State just looked like they never quit. I wouldn't say they looked great. Seth McGowan, I thought looked like the best running back for them. But yeah, I sadly missed the best part of this game, which was the last 5 minutes and overtime, apparently, because I thought it was over and went to bed.
All right, moving over to the Wednesday games, we had FIU and UTEP. UTEP gets the win, 30-21. I think the biggest surprise for me was maybe Javon Jackson. Kind of thought he was going to be that lead back to the beginning of the year, and he never really got going. I think maybe he had one game where he kind of popped off, but this was kind of what I kind of expected as the season started. He had 148 yards on the ground, but what do you think?
I think most folks thought, well, Ezell Jolly's kind of taking over, but he had a fumble early in the game, and they put him on the bench. And then in comes Javon Jackson and had an amazing game. Florida International, I get the big issue for them was Keon Jenkins got hurt. The backup quarterback got hurt. And that just really kind of, slowed them down a lot. UTEP, Skylar Locklear, I thought played pretty well. He's been up and down all year. Like I said, Javon Jackson had the good game. I think UTEP is going to be a team, a better team moving forward and in the future. I think, Scotty Walden is a good coach. I think he will get them right. I think FIU had a shot if Keon Jenkins hadn't gotten hurt, but unfortunately he did. But hopefully he's back this week, tomorrow night.
All right. Georgia State and the Thundering Herd. Marshall gets a 35-20 win. AJ Turner, your player of the week, 177 yards on the ground. What do you think about this game?
Christian Veillere looked terrible once again. He got showed the bench, and Zach Gibson comes in. Zach Gibson provided him a spark, and kind of got them back into the game because it was all Marshall early. Zach Gibson comes in, pumped up the offense, seemed to pump up the defense as well. Georgia State got back into the game, but ultimately it was just too much AJ Turner, man. And like he is just why Charles Huff or the OC whose name escapes me is limiting his touches is beyond me, because every time you watch them, it is evident that he is the best. He's the best running back they have. He's the best weapon they have, and they should. he should be getting the Rasheen Ali treatment in terms of his usage for the Thundering Herd. You know, he's a special guy. Get the ball to him in space, in the air, feed him the ball. Hopefully they will. I kind of felt like this game they did so more than they have in the past. I wasn't super impressed with Braylon Braxton. I don't know. Like if Marshall wants to win, then their best bet is to give AJ Turner the Rasheen Ali treatment. Hopefully they will do that in the future. And stay tuned for Georgia State. I mean, it's 2 weeks in a row. Christian Veillere has not looked good. Has gotten yanked. He got yanked at the end of the fourth quarter against Old Dominion. Zach Gibson went in, and this time it was either late in the first or early second quarter. Christian Veillere got yanked, and Zach Gibson went in. Like I said, definitely gave them a big boost in terms of production, and actually got Georgia State back in the game when it had been all Marshall early.
All right, and then on Friday we had Fresno State at Nevada. Fresno State pulls this one out 24-21. What stuck out to you in this game? There was nothing kind of like, for me, there was nothing like overpowering.
I mean,
kind of like, it was
Brendan Lewis getting hurt. Kind of like I think if he doesn't get hurt, Nevada certainly has a better shot at winning that game. Nothing super exciting other than Fresno State ran the ball. They didn't pass the ball as much as I would have thought against this Nevada defense. This Nevada defense is not very good. But yeah, I was very disappointed in the Fresno State passing game. I would have thought they would have had a lot more action with Magdalena, Braylon Sharp, Jalen Moss, etc. That was kind of the big takeaway for me. That I don't know, expected a lot more from the Bulldogs passing offense and just did not see it against the Wolfpack.
All right. Well, before we go any further into our games, I got to make sure you're out there. You're hitting like, you're subscribed, you're retweeting. Just make sure we need the likes. It's good for the algorithms. Okay. So let's look at our G5 versus P4 matchup this week. We had Wake Forest and UConn. Did you get eyes on this one?
I did not, but I did. I listened to the post-game press conference. UConn head coach, whose name is escaping me right now. But
Mora?
Apparently, I guess Jim Mora. Yes, there was a play. Jim Mora Jr. There was a play in I guess that went against them, and he lit the refs on fire. He's like, this is ridiculous. Like he was calling out the P4 bias of the refs. I guess there was not only was there holding, there was pass interference, and nothing got called. And he just was complaining about it, and rightfully so, right? UConn, played tough. Just looking at the stats, had a shot to win the game, and it was, at the end of the day, he said, hey, the loss is on us. It shouldn't come down to that one play, but it really burns me up to see things like this and to kind of see this bias. And he can do that because UConn's independent, right? So he can't get fined by the conference for calling out the refs like a lot of other head coaches could. And so, yeah, I mean, he called them out, and but ultimately he took responsibility. But UConn definitely a team that's I think better than a lot of people expected this year.
Absolutely. Let's get into our featured G5 versus G5 matchups. Big one did not go the way for my adopted team of the Bearcats. Rar meow, meow roar. Still have not got that answer. So if you do know what the sound a Bearcat makes, I would like to know. But Western Kentucky pulls out the win over Sam Houston, 31-14. Like we mentioned, Hunter Watson was hurt in this one. Bring in
Jace Bauer.
Shout out to Jace Bauer from my high school, Ankeny High School in Iowa. So shout out to Jace But yeah,
Yeah.
not the outcome that we wanted for the Bearcats.
That game changed once Hunter Watson didn't come back in the second half. I felt like they had a shot in that game, and then once Jace Bauer took over, it was kind of done. Western Kentucky, Katie Veltkamp had a good game, and Elijah Young, the running back, had a good game as well. One thing that kind of surprised me, I expected them to use DJ McKinney a lot more than they did, based on his usage in the previous game. But Jace Power, not that Hunter Watson is a better passer, but I think Jace is not any better as a passer and not as good a runner as Hunter Watson. So yeah, hopefully they get Hunter Watson back here soon.
And then a game I got to watch plenty of, North Texas at Memphis. Memphis pulls out the 52-44 win. Mario Anderson was my player of the week. If you like the offense, this was the game for you this week. North Texas, Chandler Morris had 445 yards passing. Mario Anderson, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, 183 yards rushing. And then who's that? Yep, there he is. DT Sheffield comes back with a big game, 122 yards. He popped off huge week 1, I believe it was, and then we kind of hadn't seen him. He was hurt for haven't really seen, or no, he hasn't had that pop off game. Who am I thinking of? That
well, Sheffield did. I think you're thinking of Damon Ward, who had that monster game
Ward.
week 1.
Yeah.
Sheffield's had some good games as well. He's probably been the more consistent receiver for the Mean Green. Yep. And then Chandler Morris, I think, had a huge run in that game too, like a 50-yard run or something.
Yeah, for a touchdown. It didn't look pretty, but it was effective. Anything more you want to add to that game that I didn't cover there?
No, I mean, kind of what we had hoped for, right? Offensive shootout. I didn't get to watch very much football on Saturday. I was at Old Dominion from 10 a.m. until probably 7:30 p.m. So I did not, other than the Old Dominion game, I did not watch a whole lot of football Saturday.
And then we had Louisiana at Coastal. We kind of talked about this a little bit before, but Louisiana pulls out the 34-24 win on the road. Ben Wooldridge been having an amazing season so far. He throws for 373 yards. Braden Bennett for Coastal led the team there with 132 yards rushing. And then tight end Terrence Carter, we've talked about him on this show multiple times, but he had 149 yards receiving in this one. So huge game from him as tight end for Louisiana. Then I guess Justice, I know you said you didn't get to watch any of it, but I need you to filibuster a little bit before I can get to my game summary for the next one. Give me a quick second.
Yeah, I mean, so the next ECU versus Army. Army just demolished them. I don't know what the final score was, but I know Bryson Daly had a huge game for the Black Knights.
45-28 for Army at ECU. I am not so sure that the U.S. government is not testing out things like Captain America at this base. Daly's just amazing. He was another. I had him last week as my player of the week. He could have very well been the player of the week this week, and I would have gone with him had Mario Anderson not done what he did. Because I think he had 6 touchdowns this game or something. Like he was crazy. He had 171 yards on the ground. The interesting thing here for East Carolina, and I'll be curious to see things going forward with the coaching changes. Chase Sewell has been able to get things going here the last 3 weeks. He had 138 yards receiving this last week, but I think that's 3 weeks in a row that they've
switched quarterbacks too. Like Caton Hauser started or played the majority of this game, so maybe that coincides with a little bit with the resurgence of Chase Sewell.
Yeah, I mean, very, very much could there. Give me a second as I
the battle of the directional Michigan schools, Central Michigan, Eastern Michigan. I know Cole Schneider had a good game. Central Michigan, I think, was in the game probably, and then the Bert Emanuel Jr. kind kind of took
Yeah.
some
Yeah, that injury
wind out of the
happened right
sails.
around like it was in the fourth quarter. It was like 10 minutes to go in the game, and then that's when he got hurt. But Cole Snyder had 300 yards passing. He's been kind of up and down this year, but he's been doing a lot of his damage on the ground lately. Marion Lukes had 118 yards, and then Marcus Allen had 140 yards receiving. But yeah, Eastern Michigan gets the win 38-20 or 38-34 in this one. And trying to think, Eastern Michigan, I kind of like we'll talk about it later, but I kind of like what they've got this next week. They've got Akron, and I think that could be like, I don't know what the over under in that game is, but I'd be tempted to take the over in whatever that is. And then we've got Hawaii versus Washington State.
Yeah, Hawaii, didn't have Bailey Ashlock. I believe Nick's DeKel Crowdis didn't play either. And so two of their top weapons, so to speak, I guess, and from the wide receiver room.
This one just
looking at
didn't
the
live
box
up
score,
to.
didn't look good. Yeah.
I just thought Hawaii, I mean, they're kind of a volume. Like, they haven't been, like, super great, and I just thought they would put up some more points. Ashlock's injury was a shocker, but, this one just didn't live up to the hype for me. The one that did live up for the hype for me in every way that, it could have, having a backup quarterback in there, Toledo versus NIU, it was the defensive game that I thought it was going to be coming into it. Toledo gets the 13-6 win on the road. Something to note here. They had, in the third quarter, they had a 88-yard drive, which was their longest of the season. And then this was the first game. I got awful notes. I think this is the first game that they have not allowed a touchdown since October 14th of 2023 versus Ball State. So big defensive game for Toledo. The whole defense just played lights out as a whole team. And that was huge game.
The one thing I guess I found a little bit interesting. So Antonio Brown was back, but it looked like they managed his workload with him and Gavin.
Yeah, he was
Williams,
number 2. Yeah, he was number 2 on the depth chart and came in second and did not get a whole bunch of run in this one. JMU versus Georgia Southern. JMU loses 28-14. J.C. French had 215 through the air. Jalen Wright had 134, and Burgess had 52. This was kind of a sloppy game from what I got to watch. I think Georgia Southern had 4 turnovers in this game, and they still won by 14.
Yeah.
So it was sloppy. But this kind of, I don't know. Like I said earlier, I don't know what week I said it, but JMU's just kind of been playing up and down to their competition. It seems like, and they messed around with their food, and I guess that whole scale mess around and find out. They found out.
Yeah, I mean, to me, this game says more about JMU much so than Georgia Southern. Getting all those turnovers and still not being able to do anything with it. JMU was trending up, but maybe they're not. The truth is somewhere in the middle, right? They're not the team that put 70 on Carolina, but they're also not this team that barely beat, I believe it was FCS Gardner Webb. They're somewhere in the middle, and losing. They've lost 2 conference games now. I've lost one to UL Monroe and one to Georgia Southern, and Georgia Southern sitting on top of the Sun Belt East, 3-0. So big game Thursday against Old Dominion.
A game I got to watch a lot of, and I'm really upset because, like you, I did not watch all of it because I had stuff to do and whatnot. New Mexico takes on Utah State. I believe this one we talked about last week where the over-under was like at 80-something.
Yeah, it was 79.5, I think. And they scored, 90 some points?
95. New Mexico wins 50-45. Spencer Petras had 360 yards passing. Devin Dampier had 105 on the ground. Jalen Royals had 188 through the air. Dampier, that offensive line for New Mexico was like Swiss cheese against Utah State. He was running around for his life back there, jump pass, but they were working. He threw an interception at the end of the first half. That was just this Hail Mary. They got into on the right side of the 50 and he chucked it up and it was an interception. So, he had that. But yeah, he was running around for his life back there. But man, he looks good when he does it, and it's exciting. Spencer Petras and Jalen Royals taking off here for Utah State. This was a fun game to watch, and unfortunately, I missed the last 7 minutes of this game, which I watched everything up to that, so it was kind of upsetting. I missed the end of that game.
A lot of offense. I think this was a game we told folks, if you like offense, this was the game you need to watch, and it certainly did not disappoint.
And then here we got UNLV versus Oregon State, and you talked about UNLV getting the win over.
I did. I got to watch some of this game because it was late
or whatnot. So yeah, UNLV 33, Oregon State 25. UNLV Giovanni McCoy,
super impressive.
Giovanni McCoy pretty much did everything for Oregon State. He had 231 yards passing. He had 81 yards rushing. Ricky White is probably loved the quarterback change. 88 yards receiving for Ricky White. What did you see here with your eyes?
Yeah, UNLV. They you could make an argument that they are the best team in the G5. I think we're certainly going to find out this week. UNLV to me looks like a more complete team than Boise State. I think the UNLV defense is better. The UNLV passing game is better. Obviously, the rushing game is not better. No one I think can say their running game is better than Ashton Jeanty and Boise State's rushing game, but I think UNLV is a more complete team. I don't know. When I was watching this game, I never really felt that Oregon State was gonna win the game. Even though the score was only 8-point difference, I just felt like UNLV was kind of in control of the game. Again, great defense. Haj Malik Williams. I think the whole Matt Saluka situation, at the end of the day, is a positive for UNLV. I think Haj Malik is a much better quarterback. He might not be as dynamic of a runner, but he's still pretty daggone good runner. Maybe he's not Matt Saluka level, but he's not far off, and he is a way better passer than Matt Saluka. So I think the whole Matt Saluka situation could be or is a blessing in disguise of sorts for UNLV.
All right, come back and join us next week as we discuss what happened in Week 9, as well as look forward to Week 10 of the 2024 season. And as always, bring you up to date on all the latest news and happenings in the world of G5 college football. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. If you're watching us on X, please give us a retweet, a like, and a follow. And if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please subscribe and leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. Remember, we've got our new merch line out there. If you want to support us, go ahead and make a purchase there. Justice dropped the link here in the chat.
The link is in the YouTube comments, and it's on it's pinned on our X page.
All right, and with that, we thank you all for your support, and until the next time, we are the G5 Hive.